Welcome to SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 58, and the second Zelda Month episode. During the entire month of November, we'll be celebrating the Legend of Zelda series. This includes special podcast episodes like you're listening to right now that interview some of the greatest online creators. We'll also be releasing play-it-by-tier reviews on a handful of fan-favorite Zelda games every Sunday. On top of all that, I'll be streaming a complete playthrough of the Ocarina of Time game on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a celebration. Anyways, my name's Dakota, and my co-host for the night is Nathan.
Hello again.
Tonight's guest is Cloud, an incredible artist, animator, and the writer of Shattered Tomorrow.
Wow.
Welcome to the show, Cloud. Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me. You know, we're gonna have like the greatest creators in the Zelda community. Stop. No, but yes, hello, my name is Cloud. My display names across most social medias are The Enforcer. I'm a hobbyist, and I've been drawing for 15 of my 25 years. And yeah.
Yeah, so for those who are unfamiliar with your work, maybe not who are you, but what are your current projects? You already introduced yourself.
I would say that my current project, singular, is basically just Shattered Tomorrow. Before I got back into working on it, I mostly just kind of did illustrations for fun. And now, because I'm working so much on the comic, a lot of my illustration output has gone drastically down. So it's mostly just Shattered Tomorrow, but I'll still do a little art every now and then in between pages.
Yeah, and your most recent one that I saw, I believe on October 11th, was the Tanjiro from Demon Slayer.
Yeah, me and my friends, we do like an anime night every week. So I have not kept up with current animes in a very long time, but I have a friend that does keep up with current animes, and he kept on wanting to geek out with them with me. So he was like, "Can I just sit you down and make you watch them with me every Wednesday?" And I'm like, "Okay." So we caught up with Boku no Hero. And then we watched Dorohedoro, and we watched a little bit of Devil May Cry. And then we watched Demon Slayer, because why not? So now we're on to Jujutsu Kaisen.
Oh, nice. That's a good one. Come on, Nathan. Let's go watch some anime. What the heck?
Well, you kind of already beat me there.
I've been basically stuck on anime for the past 8 months.
And I haven't even gotten started.
Not that you have the time.
Not that I have the time, but, you know, I'm still considering it.
What got you into writing or drawing the comics that you are working on right now?
Honestly, ever since I was a tiny little itty bitty baby kid, I wanted to be an animator. Because I've liked art ever since I was a tiny little itty bitty baby kid. That being said, growing up, a lot of animation softwares were not super available, like 15, 20 years ago. So didn't really have access to that. And comics were both more available and accessible, and also once I did get into animating, I realized it's really hard, so comics were easier.
Yeah, I don't have any first-hand experience animating. I wish Tyler could be here tonight, because
he's a
definitely resident animator.
Really?
Yeah, if you want to look at it, some of the play-it-by-tier episodes where he takes on some older superhero movies, the intros of those he's animated for us.
Ooh. I will definitely check that out.
Is there anything like specific that, like, while you're growing up that really pushed you in the direction of animating, like any movies or TV shows?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Whoa.
But also, so Sonic the Hedgehog was basically like my first ever baby's first fandom, baby's first like absolute adoration of like anything of a franchise, like video game, cartoon, or otherwise. But growing up, I just super duper loved cartoons more than probably the average kid anyway, which is why I got into art and why I wanted to be an animator, and et cetera, et cetera. Both like very slapstick old style cartoons like Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, but also very stylized, like more modern cartoons like Kim Possible, My Life as a Teenage Robot, all of those things growing up. They were not so much like the wacky monster of the week kind of ridiculous, every episode is a new thing and not connected to each other cartoons, but I really like the ones that kind of had like a set setting and a set like character cast, and they would kind of have a little bit of a storyline that they would follow along with. And yeah, again, like Sonic the Hedgehog, just the action and the adventure and the lightheartedness, but still with like its flavor of like seriousness in it sometimes.
Yeah, which Sonic the Hedgehog specifically? There's
like
quite a list, right?
Yeah, definitely like of like classic Sonic and modern Sonic, absolutely modern Sonic. One of my earliest memories is watching the intro to Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast when my brother was playing it. Like he's 6 years older than me, so he was definitely like a dude that would like play video games, and I was like the tiny little toddler that like, don't touch my video games, you're gonna mess it up or whatever. And so I would just sit there and watch. But definitely like my first video game that I remember playing is Sonic Adventure 2. So that's my favorite video game, and that game is very much all about like you are expected to take these 3-foot tall super speed and able to fly and ridiculous little characters completely seriously because they're trying to save the world, but also nothing makes sense, don't question it. I love that.
I grew up with the same game too.
Yeah.
It is so fun.
I love Sonic Adventure 2. It's ridiculous.
Both the Sonic Adventure games, like compared to most modern Sonic games, like I can't really say there's a comparison there. There's nothing that can beat those two games for me.
Yeah, no, for real. Like I very much enjoy like the variety in gameplay, the character designs, the level designs, the aesthetics of the games. It's such a good balance between like the serious and the off the wall wacky.
Now, looking at modern Sonic, would modern Sonic be your like if you had spare time, would modern Sonic be your sort of go-to drawing, or is there some other character or thing that you would prefer to draw?
Honestly, a lot of the time whenever I'm feeling art blocked, if I feel like really frustrated that I can't like get anything drawn that I feel like is adequate or up to snuff, basically, Sonic has always been one of those things that I have been able to like fall back on and just like doodle because of many years of trying and failing as a child to draw Sonic the Hedgehog. I know.
So relatable.
I know. They I don't remember what interview it was, but there was like something floating around about like, yeah, we designed Sonic to be easy for kids to draw. That's a lie. It's a lie. Little weird Mickey Mouse looking dude. I digress. But yeah, no. With drawing art, yeah, because I spent so much time, so much muscle memory just drawing like Sonic characters and in the anatomy of Sonic characters. But in general, with like art, the thing that I'll usually fall back on if it's not Sonic and I'm not feeling particularly art blocked, it depends on the time. Because I have a muse, if you will, an artistic muse that I will follow. So like 2015 Undertale came out. I drew so much Undertale. For a while I wasn't really into anything, so then I drew original characters, just like D&D characters, things that would pop into my brain. Then I was super into Dragon Ball, so I would draw the Supreme Kai, or this one very obscure side character named Few. And then for a while I got into Final Fantasy VII over 2020 and 2021, so now my kind of fallback has become Sephiroth. So it really just like fluctuates.
Oh boy.
It fluctuates as time passes.
Yeah, and considering your art style, it's very, you can really change whatever character you're gonna look at, because you're really good at humans, and you're also good at the animal side too.
Thank you. Now, fun fact about that is I definitely would not have considered myself someone, despite my roots in Sonic the Hedgehog, I would not consider myself someone that is particularly competent at drawing furries, for example. Until I had a D&D character that was a kitsune, and because I very much enjoyed this character that I was getting to play in D&D, that was a fox anthropomorphic character, basically. I had to get good if I wanted to be able to draw my good boy that I love very much. And also around that time, I did end up meeting with the creator of A Fox in Space, who's a really cool dude. If you guys have ever heard of that, do you know what that is?
I don't believe I do.
It is it's kind of similar to what I'm doing with Shadow Tomorrow. It is a it is a fan created animated series basically on YouTube. They only have one cartoon out, but it's like a 15-minute long episode of like a fan animated Star Fox cartoon with a more adult oriented spin. It looks like something that you would find on like Adult Swim per se, and it's very good. But I got to meet and talk with that guy. That his name is Fred. I don't remember his entire long username, but that is I think ironically his internet nickname persona is just Fred. But I digress. He because I got super into what he was doing, I was really inspired by what he was doing. I got super into Star Fox, so that also kind of reinforced drawing like anthro and furry characters. So I definitely don't keep up with it and draw a whole lot, but every now and then, because it is fun to like take a break from the norm of just drawing like another human character and face the challenge of like anatomy with an anthropomorphic character, or not just falling back on Sonic. Yeah, I'll draw a little furry every now and then.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? As a treat.
Yeah, why not?
Considering your art style too, again, it's very neon and uses much brighter colors that you normally don't see with other artists. Is there a particular reason, or
I don't.
Cool?
Yeah, honestly, it mostly just looks cool. But I will say that I think, while I can't particularly point to anything, like any one thing specifically, I will go back to Sonic, in that Sonic's character designs are very much like color-coded and based around like very bright primary colors. Sonic being blue, Tails is bright yellow, Knuckles is red. We got the blue, yellow, red. We have all the characters that just are basically one color, but maybe one or two of them will have a color palette.
Yeah, everyone has their distinctive color.
And like
characters.
I grew up watching like Sailor Moon. All of the Sailor Scouts had their colors and whatnot. Maybe they had like a secondary color. I will say that I do have like distinct memories of being a kid, like on my dad's laptop, because he would let me borrow his laptop and play like some stupid like Polly Pocket or like Barbie games or whatever. And any time that I would see like something brightly colored or neon or anything like that, that would, in my mind, read as, oh, well, obviously that's a thing for kids, because brightly colored things are always marketed towards kids. So I would say that's a thing for me. And that's a thing because it's for kids. It's supposed to be entertaining and fun. So that kind of translates this many, many years later from childhood into, let me make something bright and colorful, because that, to me, evokes, yeah, I'm here to have fun.
Yeah, when I think I see you every once in a while in my timelines, just from other people I follow, they retweet or whatever, and it really, because it's so different, it makes me really grasp to the art. It's really nice to look at.
Thank you. I do think it was. I thought it was very funny. The Zelda Creator Twitter did the big collaborative banner for the Twitter page. And I thought it was very funny how whenever everyone submitted their art, we got a preview of the credits page before we got to see the final banner. And whenever it was uploaded, I went in and I was like, oh, where's me? And I just scrolled past really quick and I was like, there I am!
Yeah. I did the Dampe character in that banner.
Oh, yeah. He looks so nice. I love the like geometrical, like kind of 3D model, but like smashed onto a 2D plane. It was very good. Very
kind of origami-ish, yeah. I think it was my first time doing that style. I barely do any art.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Well, you pulled it off nicely.
Yeah, I mostly do graphic design stuff, and specifically in most of your art, I see like you had these almost like comic bubbles in the background or some of the characters. Now, that's an awesome touch.
Thank you. I don't know what, it kind of is mostly just that, like, as I grew up and I realized comics were easier and more accessible and more feasible for me to do, I kind of made that my thing, quote unquote. So then I super duper leaned into like the pop art comic dot overlay aesthetic, because I realized that not only did I just like making comics as a medium, but the general like old school aesthetic of that kind of art very much I realized I enjoyed a lot too. So
we can go back to the topic of your comic book or your comic. Why do you love the Zelda series so much? And has the Zelda series ever influenced you personally in your life, or how did it?
It's funny that like I mentioned my like earliest memories being like the Sonic Adventure intro, because another one of my earliest memories, fun fact, is definitely Majora's Mask. I have been a Zelda fan. Like I have probably been a Zelda fan. I realized this recently also. I hadn't really thought about it, so I only realized this recently, but I have probably also been a Zelda fan for about as long as I have been a Sonic fan. I don't know why I particularly just latched onto Sonic so hard, but a lot of people around my age that also have Sonic as like an interest from when they were kids, they seem to share in that sentiment. So I guess they just put something in the Sonic brand. I don't know, but I digress. With Zelda, I very much love about Zelda how even though it does have like its set universe and its kind of rules and its lore, Link as a character, of course, is advertised as such like a blank slate. You're supposed to be able to project on him kind of character that the entire fantasy world for me, I kind of realized was that way across the entire board. With like its more kind of not necessarily open world, but it was more open, I guess, than a linear like Sonic game, for example. I felt like so able to just explore and walk around and really like do what I wanted to do in the world. So it just felt like such a, again, blank slate fantasy world that I could always feel comfortable enough with the setting and the characters to either make up my own story or make up my own character. And I really love that because I always grew up being like, but what if magic and fantasy creature are real? But what if they're supernatural things? I want to believe. And Zelda definitely set up in my life the underscoring adoration for like fantasy supernatural stuff, basically.
And like, which game did you start off with?
I want to say I probably either started off with Ocarina or Wind Waker. I can't remember exactly. Yes, absolutely. I do know that like Blockbuster and like rental services were very much a thing when I was a kid, so we never owned Majora's Mask. That's why I only have like I only had vague memories of Majora's and didn't realize that it was a completely different game for the longest time until like my teenage years. But Ocarina we did own, so I got to, and we also owned it on GameCube. And then whenever my brother
that's nice.
moved off from the GameCube, he would always hand stuff off to me, so I got to play Ocarina and Wind Waker at that point. So I definitely don't remember which came first, but it was one of those two.
How many of them have you played? Like, have you played most of them, or
I played definitely most of the 3D ones. A lot of the 2D ones I have not played. And a couple of the mobile ones, let's see, Ocarina, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, A Link Between Worlds, Spirit Tracks, Skyward Sword now. I've played Skyward Sword HD. I didn't get to play it a long time ago. Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild, and I think that might be it. I think.
Quite a lot of games.
Yeah, there have been a lot of games.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here. I've only played 2 and beat one of them. Nice.
No, believe me, playing and beating are two different things. I have maybe beat like 2 Zeldas. Okay, I beat Spirit Tracks, I beat Wind Waker, I beat Breath of the Wild, I beat Link Between Worlds. That's 4.
We all gotta start somewhere.
I cannot tell you how long I played Ocarina of Time. That was one of those games that like I started as a kid and I just chipped away at it as I grew up. Still have never beaten it. It's so long, you can't make me play it again.
Well, you certainly can't make me play because I played it way too many times.
Oh, man.
It becomes a nightmare at that point.
That's understandable.
How does that become a nightmare and you've somehow played, Age of Calamity, like 1,000 hours?
Wow. It's because Ocarina of Time is more, what do you call it? It's like you get longer play sessions, but it's all repetitive. You know every single thing about the game. Age of Calamity, it's kind of like you have fun in like short bursts, and then you just kind of get off the game.
That makes sense.
Pokemon cards are really hard to find nowadays. PokeNerds always has Pokemon cards in stock. Use code SwitchClicks for 5% off your entire order. Using this code helps us make the content that you're listening to.
Now on another note, we heard that you did a bit of cosplay. So what's your process on like how do you choose a character to cosplay, and how do you execute that sort of?
Oh, bats my eyelashes loudly. Don't ask me about cosplay. We'll be here all night. I'm kidding.
Oh boy.
But as far as how do I choose a character, mostly it depends on like what I'm into currently. It's one of those other like artistic muse kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like I'm working on, technically I'm in the process of working on right now, Alucard from Castlevania, and that was mostly because kind of a mix of the perfect circumstances, because I'd always kind of had approximate knowledge, like adjacent knowledge of Castlevania, but then Castlevania, the Netflix series, was one of the shows that watched on, our anime nights.
So that's where you kind of learned all your stuff.
Yeah, like I definitely kind of enjoyed that series, but like I am very much one for dramatic pretty boys. So I saw Alucard and I'm like, oh, love him. Great. Awesome. But I also had, because that was earlier this year, I had also been working on my cosplay, and Alucard and Sephiroth, as far as like character aesthetics go, are kind of adjacent. Like they're a little similar. And a friend of mine that I was watching with was like Alucard, and I'm like, you're probably right. So now I want to be Alucard. But before 2020 pandemic nonsense hit, I was working on Zamasu from Dragon Ball and Piers from Pokemon. And with Zamasu, I had done like 3 Dragon Ball cosplays already. Because Dragon Ball was, again, one of those series that really grabbed my artistic muse and held me by the throat and shook me around a lot for a couple of years. But Zamasu was one of my favorite characters, and I really just wanted to be him, both because he was one of my favorite characters, and also what helped me decide to be him was that I already owned a couple of the pieces that I could have used to make his costume, because Zamasu's character design features tall white boots and black pants, and I already owned both of those things, so if I wanted to make a Zamasu cosplay, I was like, oh, sick! I already own half the cosplay. That and with cosplays and choosing new cosplays, it also helps if I can find or pick something out that is new and is something that I haven't done before in terms of crafting or building. So with Zamasu in particular, because he is from Dragon Ball, i.e. spiky hair, the anime, I'd never made like a very stylized spiky wig like that, so I thought, well, why not do it with one of my favorite characters and add that new skill set to my repertoire, you know?
Out of all these cosplays, which one would you say would be like the most difficult for you to pull off?
Ooh, definitely my my cosplay of Bayonetta out of I did for 2018.
Which Bayonetta? Which design?
Bayonetta 2, so that's the one with the short hair. The I started her back in like 2014, 2015, whenever the game was announced and like came out is whenever I basically started on that cosplay. And I was still in school at the time and didn't have a job, so I didn't have like the money and the time between like homework and not having a job to like super dedicate a lot of time working on it. But if anyone knows what Bayonetta looks like, she's a very detail-oriented, very detail-heavy, complicated design. So I knew that I would want to make her basically my magnum opus at the time of craftsmanship, and enter her into a craftsmanship contest and whatnot. But she was not she was started probably 2014, 2015, and she did not get finished until 2018, whenever I graduated college and got a job and money and could actually dedicate time to working on her.
Oh, 4 whole years.
Yep.
Would you consider Bayonetta your costume that be your favorite one, or?
I don't know if I would consider her my favorite at this point, if just because poor girl has fallen apart over many years. But and I do look back at her with knowing that I could do parts of it better, and that I have expanded my skill set and whatnot since then. But she's definitely up there she's basically the one that I'm the most proud of, definitely.
Yeah, and probably with the upcoming release of Bayonetta 3, you might have an excuse to make another one.
Oh, I'm so excited for Bayonetta 3!
On your timeline, when they revealed the character design, I saw you're freaking out.
Yeah, no, I looked at her and I was like, oh, that's gonna be me, baby! I'm gonna suffer, but it's gonna be fun!
I'm just looking at some of your animation. You don't do much like long-term animation, more of like short videos, like promotional. But it seems like your process is a little bit different than other animators. They go through like with frame by frame by frame.
Sure.
Versus what I can assume is just you make a piece of art and then either move some different parts of it to make it look animated.
Yeah, like tweening. Basically, like I mentioned before, as a kid, I discovered very early on that animation hard. And with the smaller stuff, like the smaller scale animations, I still want to animate, and I still really feel happy and like prideful whenever I do get like a moving picture out of something that I made. So I still want to make them and just see that product. But animation taking a long time, my ADHD brain does not like. So if I can't finish it in one night, I'm going to forget about it and it will never be done. And I combat that by intentionally doing very, very short, very simple animations, and intentionally simplifying them with, like, how can I get away with making this still look nice, and up to my own standards that I hold myself for making art, but how can I also make it simple so that it's feasible for me to do under the constraints that I have also for myself and my resources and skill set and time and whatnot.
Yeah, and for all sake and saying, it looks amazing otherwise.
Thank you so much. It's definitely paid off to do more animation, because go figure, the more you do something, the easier it becomes because you hone your skills for it. Oh, wow. So it's definitely helped to just like be like, okay, well, if I super simplify this, I can get this done. And then I get it done and I'm like, that wasn't so bad. And so then I want to make another one, and then I'll make another one that looks slightly better, and I'll figure out ways to do this or do that and yada yada, and familiarize myself with the tools. And I actually joined a multi-animator project with a friend recently. My first one, never done one before. But those are very much just like most of the ones that I've seen have been like, they're usually to music, and the coordinator will cut out like sections and be like, here's section 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's our theme. You can draw this or animate this. And then we'll chop it all together and put the whole video out whenever we're all done. And my friend made one for villain OCs to the theme of Halloween. And I recently got my part done, actually. It was 9 seconds long, and it was probably the longest actual legitimate frame-by-frame animation I have done in a very long time.
Would that be like your most difficult work, too, in terms of animation?
I don't think it was my most difficult, but that I can only say because even though I think it's probably some of my nicest hand-drawn, like, frame-by-frame animation work, that's only from, like, years of curating the skill to be able to figure out how to do it in a timely manner, but still make it look nice. There have definitely been animations that have taken more, like, time and effort, and, well, they frankly didn't end up as good because I wasn't as good with my skills as I am now.
Yeah. Nathan, do you have any more questions? I ran out.
No, I ran out of questions too.
Thank you for coming on the show, Cloud. Do you have anything to plug, or?
Please read my comic. I spend so much time each week drawing pages.
Do you really upload that weekly?
I work to keep up my buffer, basically. I do two pages a week come out, and so I try to keep it up with 2 pages a week, but I do have a buffer of for public pages that anyone can just see at any time for free, 2 months. But you can go on my Patreon and pay $3 and then see a month ahead. Ooh.
Wink, wink.
Wink, 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 wink. And the Patreon is underneath the Enforcer. It's the same name I use everywhere. Clickety clack.
Well, thank you for joining us. It was amazing hearing your love for the Zelda series and how you create your art. We would love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our community Discord server to continue today's discussion, and we'll see you next time on the SwitchClicksPodcast.
Woo!